All right, we're recording now. Today, I wanted to talk about a discussion that Janine had and I had kind of back and forth um, over the last week or so, and it's about conveying information that you receive from other people to pass along to your clients. And without me prefacing the conversation and ending it really quickly, because I'm going to tell you what I would prefer everybody do. I'd like to kind of talk about how folks go about relaying information, and I want to start with Janine. But Janine, you have to promise not to give it away what we've talked about. So let's just pretend we're like easing into a hot bath here without jumping completely on, because I think this could be a 5-minute conversation, but I'm more interested in how people go about it. So let's just kind of ease into it a little bit. Janine.
So you want to know how I present information from the other side to the client?
That's probably brass tacks, yeah.
Okay. The least amount that you can say to convey it without, jumbling everything up is good. Oh, you're drinking out of the coffee cup I gave you.
I am. I love this one.
Yeah.
It says,
see the good.
See the good. And I know that's hard in real estate, right, Nate? Because, man, there's some crappy agents out there. But we'll power through.
I feel like it's best to just present exactly what you were told verbatim so that there's no questions.
That's pretty succinct. All right. Y'all have a great day.
Easy day.
Have a good birthday weekend?
Yeah. Aaron, come back. He's talking to you. He said, did you have a good birthday weekend? Shut up. Yeah, he did. He's got his Amazon card trying to order his football online.
That's my approach. And the scripting I had with Janine last week was basically don't wordsmith what you're being told by the listing agent or the selling agent or, the attorney or the lender. I will completely screenshot and just forward that. I do not want to mince words. I don't want to reword it. I don't want to confuse anybody. I don't want to put it in my language. And there's really two reasons, in my opinion. There could be more, but there's primarily two reasons. One, I want to take the onus off of me. Okay, I'm not the one conveying good information, bad information, indifferent information. I think you're an asshole information. And I don't want anyone to be confused about what's actually being said by the other party that I'm trying to convey. Where there's the lender saying, hey, look, we're not going to close because your client didn't do this. Hey, client, the lender said you didn't do this. Go do it. All right, that's the issue. Or the builder said that they're not going to do this. This is from the builder rep. I'm not telling you what they said. This is what they said. It's right here. Or the listing agent said, this is what they're willing to work with, or this is what their terms are, or this is what their counter is. Or my buyer said, hey, this is what we're willing to do. Now, the exception would be if the buyer said, hey, we'll go up to 220, but this offer is 205. Right. Of course, you're not going to share that. But you guys understand where I'm coming from? I think it's easy to try to take the onus on ourselves to reword it and maybe sometimes placate our clients or to ease the message for them to make them feel more comfortable. I'm not trying to make you feel more comfortable. I want you to know exactly what I'm dealing with because you're dealing with it too. And I want
I'm the messenger.
What I'm being told. Yes, that's a good point. I am the messenger. I'm not the one telling you we're not accepting 350. I'm not the one telling you we're not going to change the flooring on the stairs. I'm not the one telling you we're not going to give you blinds or a closing cost credit. Right? It's not coming from me. I'm your advocate. I asked for it for you. I'm telling you what the response is, but it's not my response. Does that make sense where I'm coming from? You guys understand why?
Felicia's raising her hand.
What'd you say, Janine? I'm sorry.
Felicia's raising her hand.
Oh, go, Felicia.
Hi, how much do you tell them? Because you know the agent I just dealt with, Dick Face. How much do
I know him.
Yeah, you know him. How much do you tell them, like, how difficult the other agent's being without sounding like you're complaining or, like, I mean, legit trying to take the blame off myself because it's literally not my fault. He sucks.
Right. I think that's fair. I would say.
Sorry, we're recording and I said Big Face.
I trust your judgment, and this is what I would say it's akin to. When I'm showing houses, especially to somebody that I'm just meeting with, and they start talking bad about the house, I'm like, yeah, that color is terrible, or fuck, that tile was awful. All right, I'm showing you that I'm on board with you. Do you understand where I'm coming from? I've got clients under contract on a condo here in Raleigh. It's in basically like a rental community that's mostly NC State students, but it's not all NC State students. We had the inspection report come back. We were in multiples. They wouldn't fix anything. And they should, because they've got tenants actually living in there dealing with these things. Also, it didn't appraise, but I set the expectation. I'm like, okay, in this market, we're under $200,000. We're in multiple offers. It probably won't appraise. But I went back to it and I was like, look, y'all wouldn't fix anything. Also, it appraised for $2,500 less than list price. And I know you're trying to sell me other properties in there like $3,000 above this. Will your sellers do anything? She's like, no, we just closed one that was blah, blah, blah. And my response was, did they also say no to inspection items that need to be repaired because you've got tenants living in there? And she kind of danced around that one, right? But here's the thing. She also said, hey, are your clients looking for somebody else to manage the property? Because I manage properties too. Are you kidding me?
Jesus.
Have I told you I don't manage properties? No. So you know what I did? I screenshotted the conversation and I was like, hey guys, this agent's a piece of work. If you're interested in somebody else to manage your property, let me know and I'll share her contact info with you. And they're like, yeah, we're probably not going to use her, in the nicest way possible. So I could have just interjected and said, hey, are you looking for somebody to manage your property? I'll share this. But no, I wanted them to see who they're dealing with. And that's part of it. I want you to see who else is involved in what's going on here. Yes. Is it my job to kind of disseminate information? Yes. But part of me disseminating information for you is also telling you exactly what I'm dealing with, right? And not mincing words so you don't believe that it's necessarily coming from me. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like I was in the same situation.
To make it less complicated, as least complicated as possible, but I also want them to understand what's going on as part of the overall conversation.
I think it's good to let them know what's going on, but there's a fine line sometimes, depending on your client, and I feel like that's when you got to kind of know your client. Because I also feel like, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but our job is to make our clients feel confident and comfortable and good about the whole transaction. And if we start bad-mouthing the other, not bad-mouthing, but even just showing them too much of the negative from the other side, it's going to start to make them feel not as good about the transaction, if that makes sense. I feel like I've had that before, and it's like, it's a tight line that we walk.
I think huge, right? I mean, obviously you're not going to share your entire text chain or conversation with the folks, but when it comes down to especially negotiation points, whether it's due diligence or actually offer,
oh yeah,
I tend to lean on the side of this is exactly what their response was.
Oh yeah, I do that too. I screenshot all the time.
Right, and that's why, because it's about conveying exactly what their intent is. Now, yeah, I am completely on board with you as far as, yeah, I'm not going to tell them that the agent is a complete ass face or whatever. Now sometimes
although we want to.
this is difficult, right? And that, especially if, and here's a good example of when, like Nate just went through. If you're representing a seller and you've got a buyer rep that's difficult from the beginning and we're in multiple offers, then I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm not sure this is the best offer for us because I see complications down the road based on the way it started. And it's my job to give you my opinion, right? You do with it what you want. That's a really good example, and maybe more prevalent in that regard on the listing side versus working with buyers, because working with buyers, we deal with difficult agents all the time. And that's what that other agent's talking about with his team this morning, because he ran into Nate, right? You guys see where I'm coming from, right? Does that make sense? I mean, discretion is huge. And obviously, I'm not saying share everything all the time, but I'm saying use it to your advantage to build your relationship with your client, but also to help them understand what's real versus what is not real, especially if they have misaligned expectations versus what reality is.
And that was my biggest problem. I mean, just had an extremely difficult buyer that was never satisfied with any answer that I got from the other side. So finally, I was just like, okay, nothing's the right answer. And so I just ended up letting him see it for himself. This is coming from the other side. I know what's realistic. I can't make them say yes to what you're asking.
And that's when it's super relevant, right? Because you've got somebody who's like, well, you're not working hard enough for me.
Yeah.
Why aren't you getting me a deal? And I'm like, okay, A, I told you this was going to happen. B, this is the other agent telling you exactly what I already told you.
Yeah.
What else do you want me to do? And then beyond that's another conversation. Do I continue to spend my time with these people who don't follow my lead and, have a grip on reality, right? So this can be completely spiderweb, but of course we're talking about practice with things.
That's I was gonna say that's the situation I was in with my crazy foreclosure that I had to go through a website to present the offer. That was my first transaction ever, so I didn't want to give that away, but I also played it up like it's not typical to do it through a website, and I always relayed what the Janet was saying, and I feel like my client caught on without me ever bad mouthing her, without me ever, giving any tone. I feel like she got to that conclusion on her own, like, dude, this agent sucks.
And you know what? I think you made a really good point, Juliana. It's not about me setting the tone. It's about showing you what's happening. Okay? It's not me telling you how to think about a specific situation. It's about me showing you what's going on in the situation. And then you draw your own conclusions, if that makes sense. If you're frustrated with me because things are taking longer, well, let me show you what I'm dealing with on the other side. Maybe that helps you have some insight onto what I'm dealing with, especially in that situation. And that can be applicable across several types of transactions.
I'll say one thing that I've run into, just recently that I think is definitely good is, I know we're talking about taking like directly what they say, but you definitely got to.
Sorry, y'all.
You definitely got to make sure that what they're saying is what they mean to say. So like with this last one, they sent their offer in through a verbal text, or their second offer. And one thing that they didn't have on there, on the first one, that they had a home warranty. So when they put it in for the highest and best, he didn't put the home warranty on there. So I reached back to him, was like, hey, did you intentionally leave this off to make it stronger, or did you just not put it on there? And he's like, yeah, I just didn't put it on there. So
that can be really tricky, especially in counters, right? Because people forget to say everything else the same, or all the other terms the same. I had a conversation with somebody last week, not about an offer, but about something I wanted in writing. And I basically said, I'm not calling you to talk about this because I want it written to make sure there's not any confusion about it. It's not that I don't want to talk to you. I don't like to talk on the phone. But it's because I wanted it to be really clear, right?
And the other part to that too is, if you do that up front, in my opinion, and you're being like you're showing some solid character there, like you can actually leverage that down the road. if need be. Hey, you remember when you didn't write this on there and we could have construed it this way? How about helping us out with these repairs?
I mean, I think that's a fair point. And it's just about being very upfront and straightforward from the very beginning and showing people how we want to do business. And that could spiderweb into the winning the other agent conversation, right? Or that could spiderweb into the test close if you're working with a client, right? So just remember how this conversation is only a piece of the overall puzzle, and it's not like an end-all be-all, but it's why we talk about the little things and it all adding up to one to hopefully, ideally, make things go easier and allow you to do more with, the investment of your time. Anybody else have any thoughts on that? Brandon, you're suspiciously quiet.
No, I mean, I think you're straight up. I'll screenshot a lot of stuff like you do. I think that's the best way. There's no ambiguity there.
That's a good word, yeah.
And I think that, you just have to be honest with your agent or with your client. And sometimes the other thing is we have to remind our clients that, hey, you know how you hired me to be an advocate for you? The agent is doing the same thing for them. It's not their job to just give you what they want. They're trying to get a return on their investment or save a nickel or whatever too. So, sometimes you have to remind people of that. And part of it, when I meet a client for the first time, part of my scripting in that initial consult is my job is not to tell you what you want to hear. It's to help you get the house that you want or to get the return of investment on your property or whatever it is. And sometimes that's going to include telling you things that you may not like, but that's my job. My job is to help you get to the finish line. So some of that is scripting, but yeah, sometimes we have to remind our people that they've got someone that's a professional that's working for them too. And I will also tell my clients sometimes straight up, this agent sucks. They won't call me back. I don't think they're full time. I mean, what does it matter? And if you have the documentation, you can share with them to prove that, do so.
Like I said, use it to your advantage and also use it to set the correct expectations. And I think I posted this on one of our posts recently. And it was the one that I shared about it was most relevant, I think, to your folks when they were looking in Kinston, Felicia, is when it came up and I saw it and I sent it to the group. It was, if you sleep on it, you might not sleep in it. And my caption for the post was, look, we're going to be straight up with you. We're going to tell you exactly what our expertise dictates based on what we know about the market. And it's not because we're trying to make you make a decision. It's because we're giving you the information you need to feel informed so you feel comfortable making that decision. If I tell you, I'll tell people this all the time. Look, if you buy a house in 6 months or a year, that's fine. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still going to be in business. So I'm not trying to get you to make a decision today. I'm telling you, if you want this house today, you need to make a decision today because of what's going on in our market. And there's a difference in that, right? And I'm sure you guys do the same thing, right? You make a decision whenever you want to. But here's the thing. If you want to make a decision, you got to make one. If you say you want to make this happen in this market, at this price point, in this location, come in ready to make a decision. We're not looking at houses because we like to watch HGTV and because we're at the beach this weekend. We're looking at houses because you said you want to accomplish X, and I'm going to help you do it. And that can also spiderweb to our chat yesterday that had me taking crazy pills with, people saying that they want to do something and then they ghost you, right?
Yeah, that's so frustrating.
Or, my crux of that whole thing was being confident enough where you are with your business to understand that happens and not dwell on it and move on to the next spot, which is, like I said, a whole nother conversation. And, Juliana, Megan, you guys probably aren't there yet, but I promise you will get there when you say it's not worth my time away from my family or my other clients, that I can just say, okay, this is a lost cause. But this is how you get in front of it, is you set those expectations. Ideally, you don't get to that. But there's always give and take. So it's just about, recognizing, et cetera. I'm trying not to squirrel, but I wanted to touch on that because I thought it was a great topic that came up. So anything else? Lisa, you're quiet. Megan, you're quiet. Stephanie, you're quiet. Adam, you're
I want
quiet.
to know what she's saying over here.
What's Lisa saying over there?
She was like, buyers are liars. I was like, not all of them.
It can be, right?
One phrase I use with my buyers when they want to look around forever is paralysis by analysis. So you've been looking on my website. You see how quick things go. They're gone in 72 hours. We're here right now. They don't have an offer. We can do this. If you sleep on this house because you want to see what else pops up tomorrow, even though there's no guarantee you'll even win that one or like it when you see it and you lose this to somebody else, how mad are you going to be?
There will always be another option, either tomorrow or next month. It's about, do you want to be in X by Y, right? You said you're starting this because you want to have something by a certain time point. Do you want to do it or not? And then it's, okay, maybe you're not serious. Maybe I don't need to waste my time with you. And that, again, that can spiderweb a different way. But we talk a lot about leading the ship, driving the train, being in control. These are the things we're talking about that allow you to be in that position, right? So you don't waste your time away from legitimate clients or your family or whatever. You know what I mean? That's what this is really about. Great point, Brandon. And that's good scripting, the paralysis by analysis, because there always will be another home. But you said you want to be in a place by August. So why are you waiting for a home to come on the market in September? Right? Anybody else?
So Felicia, I'm curious as to when you were dealing with that agent. I mean, did you point blank say to your people, like, this is very frustrating, I can't get answers, you know, how did you script that? Because I've never had like a terrible agent on the other side of a transaction.
Well, it took us 5 weeks to get our due diligence request.
So wasn't DD over by then?
Like 2 days before closing. I could never get answers out of him. He was very rude. So, I mean, I really didn't have, they were my SOI, so I could be honest with them.
Mm-hmm.
But I really didn't have to say much because they understood and they knew the sellers who were selling it. So they would talk all the time to each other about it.
Oh.
They didn't, but they did.
Muddy waters, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, to your point, Felicia, sometimes it can be really hard to talk to our sphere about those things because, you know, they're really close friends or their family, and I don't want to ruin our personal relationship.
I mean, we went to close. He didn't order the WDR. We didn't have a WDR the day of closing. I mean, it was just a lot of stuff that told on itself. I didn't have to.
Right. But you're just presenting what's going on. It's not me relaying the information. It's me showing you exactly what I'm dealing with. It's not me wordsmithing it and trying to, you know, sand off the edges so they're not so sharp, right? It's me just telling you exactly what happened. And I have no control over this.
It was a situation where I would have to CC the brokers in charges to get any answers.
Right.
I had documentation, I had text documentation, so, and I mean, at the end, he paid for a WDR and a new air conditioning unit. His fault. So, whatever.
He basically didn't get any condition off that house, I'm guessing. I hope he did.
So.
It's amazing how when you start copying Bix, things get responded to a little bit quicker.
It's crazy. I mean, within like 10 minutes, he would respond.
Right.
Like, not see my 50 text messages.
I mean, it's not my go-to, but it is a quiver, or it is an arrow in my quiver, right?
And I've never been rude to another agent until that guy. Like, I've never like I didn't lose my cool on him. I was just frank. Like, I didn't hold my tongue. I didn't try to say it pleasant. I said exactly how it came out of my mouth and I meant it. And that's the only time I've ever been like that with anyone in work.
I mean, sometimes you just stop dancing around and you get to the point.
I tried to with him.
Right. And that's sometimes the only way people will respond, you know. And that's, you know, that's another point about all of this. Nothing that we talk about is going to work 100% of the time. And that's why we talk about a lot of different things. And that's the beauty of our team and our setup is we have all of these perspectives. So if one thing doesn't work, maybe something else does.
And I only like didn't hold my tongue because it was starting to affect my clients. My clients were pushed out a day. They were renting and then their lease was up. So they were essentially about to be homeless. And at that point, I had to take my client's best interest at heart and stop being a doormat, because when I'm a doormat, they're a doormat, and I just had to take control.
Right. I'm not doing this because I'm taking it personally.
Yeah.
I'm doing it because my clients are frustrated and they need answers.
Yeah.
Because you're preventing them from accomplishing their goal, right? It's not about me. And we talk a lot about how people start to take this personally in this business. The agent should never take it personally. And I'm not saying that because I never take it personally. I definitely have, all right? But I'm saying be better than what I've experienced. And when you take it personally, recognize it and understand that you're capable of doing better next time around.
I feel like that's one of the hardest things to learn as a new agent, not taking it personally.
Oh, I'm learning that real quick.
Once you figure that out and you get over it, it's so freeing and your business runs so much more smoothly.
Like we talked about recently, Felicia, it's just like I'm just letting the water roll off my back, right? I'm not taking this stuff personally anymore. It's literally like the clouds have parted when you get to that point.
2 years, Juliana, 2 years to figure that out. So
I think it's so important to act like you don't care.
Don't internalize that stuff.
Well, when you act like you care to a client, they think you're desperate and you may not be as confident as you want to come across to them for the sale, right? When you act like you care too much to the listing agent, they think they got your ass bent over the barrel and you're gonna take whatever they'll give you, right? So no matter how much you want that paycheck, do everything you can to act like you really don't care. I'm fine with losing this deal. We'll find something else. And then get on chat and tell everybody how much it sucks, or sidebar somebody and complain about it, because we've all been there and we'll probably be there again this month.
Hopefully not this month. There's only like 2 days left. Let's push it to next month.
Okay, August.
There's nothing more frustrating to me though is when you have to wait on somebody else to do your job.
Yeah.
Like super frustrating to me.
And that, that's why we talk about, worry about what you can control. If you can't control, there's no reason to stress about it because you can't do anything about it, right? Now, can you push them a little bit or can you insist upon something? Yeah. But obviously you're limited in how much you can do that. This business can be like, my hair was dark when I started. Okay. And that was only now it was almost 6 years ago now. But I mean, it will mess you up quick. I'm warning for you guys. I don't want you to look like this. All right. So don't stress out about things, right? Control what you can control. Convey the information so it's not misconstrued, so it's not coming from you. I'm a big proponent of taking the onus off myself unless it should be applied to myself. You know what I mean? And that's why I talk about, screenshotting. That's huge. It's not coming from me. I'm the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger, right? I understand you want X, but you're getting Y. Do you want it or not?
This is the offer.
Right. This is the offer. It's not my offer. It's their offer.
And I think it's sometimes really hard when you've got those difficult clients that are yours to understand that on the other side, they're trying to do the exact same thing and keep the best interest at heart as their party. You don't like the builder's process. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. This is what it is. Either you take it or you leave it. Okay, you don't like this. Well, guess what? They have a client too, and you need to be sensitive and understand. Well, and then, they go off the panhandle. I said, and if it was me representing a seller on the other side, I would be doing the same thing to keep their best interest at heart first and foremost. So
that's why I don't like using words like win or lose in real estate, because it's not about winning and losing.
Yeah.
It's about coming to an agreement
for both parties. Yeah.
Ideally, everybody wins because you come to an agreement. That's what an agreement is. Both sides getting part of what they want. It's not about, I got an advantage over somebody. Mm-hmm. That's not what real estate is about. It's about coming to an agreement that works for both parties. And that's a really important precedent to set, especially when you've got somebody who leads with, I want to get a deal. You know, well, you know, what does deal mean to you? And Brandon, what did we learn? Well, a deal is getting your offer accepted. If you're in multiple offers, that's the deal. You were the choice, right?
That's when it dug out, in my opinion, and I'm doing this right now with a friend of mine who wants to make an offer on a property, and he's as tight as a damn, I don't know.
And he doesn't need to buy it, right? So you've got that whole thing to overcome too.
He doesn't have to do anything.
I have to, it's I want to.
He
So
doesn't have to do anything, right? But he's also talking about listing his place. So, you know, turn the page on him. You want me to present an offer 20
Good
grand
shit.
under list price, hadn't even been on the market a full week. If you got a similar offer, you know, if you got an offer 5 or 10% off a list price and your property hadn't been on the market 72 hours, you would ask me, who the hell is advising this person? I won't even reply, you know. So put the onus on them to make them realize without saying it straight to their face, you're being absolutely ridiculous here. You're wasting your time. And the other thing I will tell people too, guys, that sometimes works with people and sometimes there's nothing you can do, right? But hey, these people may be willing to negotiate with us. It's obviously the property is still sitting there. They want to sell it. But if you insult them at first blush, then their emotions are going to get involved and they may not be as willing to you know, winnow this thing down with you as they would otherwise had you have given them a respectable offer from the get-go.
I also think, like, for me, starting out, it's easy to want to tell your clients what you think they want to hear, but it's so much smoother if you just set expectations from the very beginning.
You're right. And if you start out doing that, it's like turning the Titanic when it's heading into the iceberg, right? It's way too late because it takes way too much effort to turn the ship. But that was a great analogy, by the way. I should turn the Titanic iceberg. That was really good. But no, seriously. And that's why expectations from the outset are so important. And now we can spiderweb into another conversation. It's why having a buyer consult, either really formal or at the kitchen table when you show the house, is so important because it gives you the opportunity to get in the driver's seat and say, hey, this is the way this is going to go. Right? Man, this has been really good conversation. I feel like it could spur like 1,000 other ones, and it will. London agrees. Look how handsome he is. Hi, I'm London.
I see the resemblance.
Huh?
I see the resemblance.
I know. We're both really cantankerous and handsome. So we're a good fit. All right. Anything else for anybody? I think the word of the day, like Pee-wee's Playhouse, is onus. Right? I really like that word. Adam, you got anything you want to add? Megan, y'all have been really quiet.
Yeah, I've kind of been a sponge, just taking in a lot of what y'all are saying. It's been great conversation, but I will say, you know, my first deal kind of ran the gamut of some of these emotions. Had a client that was, you know, I indulged too much of her negativity, quite frankly, and it's a good learning experience for me.
You know what? That's a really good way to phrase it too. What do we talk about? We talk about mirroring our clients. Don't mirror your clients. Don't indulge in that stuff because all they do is feed on it. You got to redirect. And I mean, I do it with you people, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. When we get negative, it's okay because you have to get it out, but we're not going to stay there, right? Let's get it out. Let's therapist or get on the couch or whatever, and then move on because existing there isn't going to accomplish anything for anybody.
You walk such a fine line between trying to help your clients, empathize with them, sympathize with them, feel for them. But sometimes in the process, again, with this lady, she had never bought a home before. So she thought the inspector was too late getting there, and then he wasn't thorough enough. And she was upset with the lender not calling her back. And I can only imagine how, in hindsight, how she was just harassing him.
Client that was unsatisfied with our utilities list?
Well, the propane situation kind of popped up and she felt like she was a little misled there. And, you know, it was just, you know, it was unfortunate and she was kind of disappointed at the end. But I sent her a text on Friday. She was upset that the seller had not taken the lockbox off and had turned the utilities off. And I'm like, you're going to have to turn your utilities on. But in reality, we closed a house in the middle of a global pandemic in 5 weeks. We got her through multiples. We got her through due diligence. We got the deal done. I mean, you were just telling us the other day, you can't hardly get appraisals right now, but we got it knocked out in 5 weeks. And she was still at the end just like not happy about stuff. And what I realized is that I'd wasted so much time indulging that negativity without just kind of at the end just saying, look, you got a pretty good deal. Your house, I know you paid like 25 over the initial list because that list was ridiculous to get like 8 offers, but it appraised. We were so worried. And I told her up front, I was like, this house may not appraise and it may not even be close to appraised, because I mean she paid $200 and the list price is $175, so she went way over. But that's what we had to do to win the house. But it reminded me that people are going to find things to be negative about, and you have to love yourself enough to kind of let it go at some point. And if people aren't going to be happy with you at the end of the day for whatever reason, they're just not going to be. And it's hard walking that line between feeling like you're helping people and like you say, and part of it's all just a learning experience. We're just trying to learn as we go. And I think with each experience, it's almost like an adventure that we could tell stories about later. I will quickly just say one other thing. It gets into what you were talking about earlier about answering questions, because the clients I'm working with now, I love getting questions from clients because it does so many things. One, it allows me to show my expertise if I have it. If I've read the MLS sheet, I know basic things like square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms. But if I don't know the answer, my clients right now, they're very interested in locations of furnaces. They're looking at older homes and they're looking at, pathways of, outlet or hand exchanges. And they want to know that stuff. So, if we can't figure it out ourselves by just either looking or figuring out, I'll say, well, hey, I'll call the listing agent. And what works out well for me is, let's say you're going to look at 2 or 3 houses. I'll call that listing agent on the way over there. I'll have those answers for them when I get to the next house. So that does several things. One, it allows me to start that initial relationship with the listing agent, say, hey, I got folks interested in your house. Can you answer these basic questions for me? I'll tell them, hey, the listing agent don't even know. That happened on Sunday because there was this house we looked at with a property line. There was some apple trees on the side. I'd love for these trees to be on the property line. I say, well, we'll see. And the listing agent is, we don't know. You're going to have to do a survey. And I said, you're going to have to do a survey. And he's like, that's cool. So if you, like y'all have said throughout this whole thing, if you just tell people up front what people tell you, you're not going to set any traps for yourself, and people get it. If you just tell them something straight up. And I am not afraid to tell people I don't know, because I'd rather tell them I don't know than something wrong.
100%.
Amen to that.
100%.
So
Good
with that said, I love,
and that's part of, what you're talking about is really about getting in front of people and setting the expectations for, hey, this is what we're going to look to happen throughout this entire process. And I think, I hope what we talk about is, whether it's a positive experience or a negative experience, is something that we can take away from it to make the next experience better, right? And I feel like you definitely are in that boat with this one, right?
Yeah, I just see questions from clients as a great opportunity to do several things. You can show your own expertise, but also start that relationship with the listing agent, show them that you're on top of stuff. Because if you don't know that answer, but you can say, hey, but I'll call the listing agent, find out fast, then they're thinking, hey, this guy, he's helping us, he's finding out answers, he's on top of it. So I love when people have questions. I love when I can answer their questions, but if I can't, I know how to get to the bottom of it quickly. And if it's I don't know.
That's a great point. And you know what? I think probably even better than onus, my takeaway is, don't look at a better word for problem. Look at the synonym for problem being opportunity, right? When you have a problem, is that positive enough for you people down there in the office? Because Stephanie looks like she's about to fall on the floor. She's laughing so hard. You two got the Cheshire cat grins going on. But I mean, it really is what it is. And so much of what our happiness happens to us in our life is our perspective on it. So you can look at things as being negative or problems, or you can look at it as an opportunity to help you accomplish your goal. And I think that's enough rainbow cat poop sunshine for today. And I hope that you all walk away with something that makes you smile. And if you don't, well, that's your problem, because damn, we put a lot of smiles out there. So, all right. Anybody have anything else? Say no. Bye. Have a great day. If you need me, holler. Otherwise, I'll let you know about Thursday, but we'll definitely have our call Friday. Okay? Take it easy.
My sound just stopped. I can't hear anybody.
Ed, Juliana, hang on so we can talk.
There we go.
Can hear you.
Now I can.
Oh, did you miss all of that? Do you want me to talk about
I just missed like the last 30 seconds.
Hug your mom because you owe her that, because she's awesome.
Hug her?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Y'all have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Brandon, get out. I'm trying to talk to Juliana. Thanks. What's up? How are you?
My crazy one again was supposed to close yesterday. It did not. Oh, am I unmuted? Oh.